I had the impression also that you traveled east as well. It, somehow or other, in my travels, find out that you met some of the same people. Than uh, did you travel in the east some?
I did. I made a few trips back there, and mostly in Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky, a little bit in North Carolina, and had a friend back there that I had met out here at the Fiddle Tunes Festival up in Washington, Bobby Fulcher, who took us to meet all these great musicians all over up and down the Cumberland Plateau. You know, Clyde Davenport and the Troxel brothers, and some of the family of the great Tennessee fiddler John Sharp, uh, Bob Douglas, who was a Tennessee fiddler that uh, was quite old when I met him. And I went back there on a trip with Peter McCracken and another friend of ours named Molly Stoughton. And we all traveled around to meet all these people that Bobby knew. And uh, played in a fiddle contest in Athens, Alabama with Bob Douglas when he was 92 or 3. And we would have won the contest, but he played for too long and they knocked some points off, you know. So Benton Flippin won the contest with his band. That was in Athens, Alabama at the Tennessee Valley Old Time Fiddlers Convention.
What year was that?
Oh boy, when was it? It was in the late 90s.
Wow.
And I'd been back there before, you know. I met some people, and there was an interesting, I met this character named Richard Bowman uh, that lived in Southwest Virginia that he's playing very well now. And I'm not sure how old he is. He's maybe old, he might be 10 years older than I am, and I just turned 69. Richard told me this story about this character, a local character. Can't quite remember his name, but he was a great fiddler in that area, and they played music around Mabry's Mill and up on the Blue Ridge Parkway there, and a little community called the Meadows of Dan. But this guy's name was Ivan Weddle, maybe, and he had just died because there was a strange little Romeo and Juliet situation there. His wife had been very ill, and he thought she was never going to get well. And he went into his basement and blew his brains out. And she presided at his funeral and lived another 10 years, you know. And I was just kind of wandering around, you know. I visited Benton Flippin back there. I had some tapes of this guy that he learned a lot from, that he had played banjo with for a long time, named Esker Hutchins in North Carolina, and I had these recordings of Esker Hutchins so that I sat with Benton for 2 hours listening to all this stuff, and most of the tunes he didn't really even know the names of, which was a little strange for me. And but you know, everyone was very friendly. You know, that you know, and I went without an agenda. You know, I went back there to play a whole bunch of dance gigs, you know, in different places, Washington D.C., Charlottesville.
With
Uh,
somebody else?
yeah, with Bob Willoughby was lived back there. He lives in Nashville now. He was playing piano and Kathy Whitesides, and I didn't book these things. You know, this guy Fred Park booked these dances, and he booked a bunch of dances that he never even told us about. You know him.
Yeah. So, a dance tour, that's a good way to get around.
Yeah, yeah. I met a lot of people. Mike Seeger came to a couple of our dances, and then we had some social time with him too, and there were other people. So long ago, it's kind of hard to remember everything.
Well, how or what decade are you? Are you still in the 90s or what?
Yes. Well, actually, that would might have even actually been 10 years before, in '89 or something like that.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
quite a ways.
here's something I was thinking about, and that is having played with you a bunch for dances and stuff, uh, that you have not only a great repertoire, but you've developed a style by this stage in your life that you could perhaps say is your sound, your style of fiddling. And
Hmm.
I'm just wondering what, uh, as you and I both know, the pantheon, the field is vast with great people to learn from, study. Um, what does it take for you? What interests you? What does it take for a tune to jump out and say, I've got to play that and make my own rendition of it? Um, who or which is related to me in my mind of like who are your, I mean, there's so many, it's a terrible question to say who are your favorites, but I mean, what kind of music speaks to you?
Well, I could spend an hour talking about that, and I get to the point where I think I really know a fair amount about this old music, and I realize there is just so much that I don't know. I mean, and there were so many good players that we never even heard of, that can be found, by doing a little digging. Um, and the first player, my style of dance playing is what I call kind of a hornpipey style. There are tunes with the question and answer tunes, or tunes, with these long arpeggios in them. And I was listening to Doc Roberts a lot fairly early on. As soon as I heard any of those records, and I never really consciously tried to play like him, but I learned a bunch of those tunes that he played. Another one, that was a powerful influence, but not really ever truly trying to learn his tunes, even. Eck Robertson in Texas, that was another important. And one more. There's three guys that made records that had more influence on fiddlers all over the country than anyone else. Clark Kessinger from West Virginia, Doc Roberts from Kentucky, and Eck Robertson from Texas. And a lot of people that learned their tunes changed them a great deal, and because there was something compelling about those tunes. And for me, if I hear something that I take a shine to, I'll oftentimes I know, I love this tune, but it's not mine. It's not going to be mine. And I could learn it from now till hell freezes over, and it really wouldn't be something that I could really own for mine. And there are other things when I hear them, I just know that I was born to play that tune. And it's not really kind of any kind of rhythmic or melodic analysis that I've done, but there are just certain kinds of ways of stringing together music that makes it powerfully rhythmic and has a beautiful melodic flow.